On Monday, we got the announcement for the Game Awards, all the nominees and all the categories, and honestly, running down the list, like, I'm not too mad at a lot of them, okay? Like, there's one category that I think bears distinct recognition, and that would be the Best Adaptation category, and it's like, holy Christ, man, you take a look at this, and it's just, it really does, like, run down a veritable, what the hell happened in 2025, because, like, this year has been so bad on so many different fronts, but here's, yeah, your Best Adaptations. The Minecraft movie, the Devil May Cry animated series that was trying to draw Iraq war and Afghanistan, war on terror allegories with the demon. Like, what are we doing? The Last of Us Season 2, bruh. Splinter Cell, Death Watch, and then Until... I bet you didn't even know that that was a movie. It was in theaters, by the way, Until Dawn. But you know what's not there, and a lot of people brought up? Sonic 3. And I could kind of understand that because it went into theaters in December, which would have been, technically speaking, a 2024 film, but then also it would have been outside of the nomination period for the Game Awards. So should it be there? Yeah. Could it be disregarded due to a technicality? I would imagine so. Is it better than everything on that list? Even though I haven't seen it, I can pretty much fucking guarantee 1000% that is the case. But still, going back to the categories and said games being nominated, I mean, there doesn't seem to be any glaring omissions. I see a bunch of people pointing out a bunch of little pet peeves, but that is always to be the case whenever it comes to these awards. For as much as they want to say, oh, it doesn't matter, oh, it's just, it's just one of these big circle jerks where it's just a bunch of industry shills get together, pat each other on the back. This is still a fairly big going on, and this right now, okay, and especially with the Grand Theft Auto 6 on the horizon, there's going to be a lot of news coming out of this event. Final Fantasy VII Remake Part 3 come out. Oh my god, please, I need some news on that. But yes, focusing in on some of the bigger categories after all. I think, given the fact that it's called the Game Awards, people are kind of wondering, all right, what's Game of the Year looking like? And honestly, I wouldn't say that there's any shockers, and all of the games that are there probably deserve to be there. Okay, Clair Obscur Expedition 33, obviously, one of the highest rated games, one of the best selling games of 2025, no surprises there. Hollow Knight Silksong, again, for the exact same reason. I would imagine it would probably get a stronger consideration if it didn't come out just in September, I think. Like, it's had a pretty short time frame, but it has been wildly successful. Donkey Kong Bananza, heard a lot of good things about it. As it sits right now, the killer app on the Nintendo Switch 2. Alright, Death Stranding 2 on the beach. A lot of talk for a very short period of time, but then you remember that this is a Kojima game. You're at a Jeff Keighley conference. If he ends up winning Game of the Year, there's going to be a live sex celebration a la Edge and Lita circa 2006. Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 came out at the beginning of the year, was well received, a lot of controversy around it from a bunch of different people. God, what was it? The director, Daniel Varva, that's a name I haven't said in a long time, going to war against everybody. God, that was a interesting time. Their little gay squire and people just losing their fucking minds over that. And then, of course, Hades 2. Didn't really get a lot of accolades, but it's a super giant game. They've got some weird stuff going on in them, but also they're pretty reliable when it comes to a studio. And from what I heard, Hades 2 is actually like pretty good. So yeah, is that the list that you would have expected at the beginning of the year, knowing a lot of the other big releases that were out there and what was actually coming down the pike for this year? I mean, it's funny, right? Because that used to be a category that would be dominated by the big AAA releases. But as you can see right there, you got, Expedition 33, Silksong, Hades 2, and Warhorse just recently got acquired by Xbox, but an overwhelming amount of indie representation. Fantastic stuff. But yeah, if you were looking towards the bigger tentpole releases for 2025, no Avowed, no Doom the Dark Ages. I was reliably informed time and time again that that was a tremendous game and people were just buying it in droves. Anyways, Outer Worlds 2, don't see that at all whatsoever. I don't think it's even nominated for a single category. Oh, and Assassin's Creed Shadows. I think it's got like an accessibility. It's kind of like that pity nomination that Dragon Age the Veilguard and Star Wars Outlaws got last year. But yes, the big takeaway from the nomination stream on Monday was that, yes, Clair Obscur Expedition 33 is the most nominated game in the history of the Game Awards with 12 total nominations. And from everything that I hear, and of course I'm looking forward to finding a little bit of time, especially closer to Christmas, in on and around, that might be the time when I get an opportunity to play that, maybe the week between Christmas and New Year's, if I get a little bit of free time on my hands. I definitely want to play this game because I have not not heard, this is one of these rare situations where I have not heard anything other than glowing praise from everybody who has played it. And because it's a turn-based RPG, that is 100% up my alley. And so I am looking forward to seeing if it's going to live up to the hype. And so yes, to just further break this down a little bit more, Jeff Keighley tweeting out this graphic, the most nominated games. Yes, Clair, Obscur, Expedition 33, most noms in history with 12, okay. And then you've got 7 nominations for his friend's little game. 6 for Hades 2, 5 for Hollow Knight Silk Song, and 4 for Split Fiction, which was, that was another game that was an absolute phenomenon back in March or April when that one dropped. Yeah, everybody was playing that. And again, that's another game that I watched a little bit of gameplay of, and it looked very remarkable. Quite appealing, and it definitely had good word of mouth. But yeah, I missed one right there. That 7 nominations echelon. Oh yeah, 7 nominations for Ghosts of Yotei. And if you go ahead and cast your mind back to the list of Game of the Years, that's another one of those AAA games that in any other point in time it used to just simply be a shoo-in for these categories. But yeah, not this time around. I was reliably informed that it was a tremendous game, and that all you chuds out there, you were just, coping and seething because your Boycott failed. And then we get some official sales data, and well, they're out there saying that, oh my god, guys, this is just a tremendous success. Oh, it's selling gangbusters. Now, I'm not going to say it's a flop, but I'm also not gonna lie to you and say that this is a stellar entry into the franchise. Is a middling entry into the franchise, and one that as a sequel probably should have built on the tremendous momentum that Ghost of Tsushima had, but no, you really didn't. So official sales confirm Ghost of Yotei sales trail Ghost of Tsushima. The leaks were right. Oh, big shock on that. Sales of Ghost of Yotei, the sequel to Ghost of Tsushima, came in at 3.3 million units sold in its first month. That's about 16% fewer sales than the first game had in the same period, which is somewhat unexpected. Well, yeah, exactly. But don't worry, we'll go through some of the cope. This shouldn't be surprising, though, as these numbers leaked weeks ago. On October 22nd, Mark Kern, the former Blizzard developer, yes, better known on X as Grums, posted the gap is closing. Looks like Ghost of Yotei has grown from 2.6 to 2.8 million accounts to 3.2 million. Tsushima still leads at 3.8, but the gap is closed rapidly. It used to be as high as 25% overall, but is less now, around 16%. Many of the comments on the post challenged his accuracy, arguing that his numbers were either too high, too low, or that his only sources were Bigfoot and the Tooth Fairy. So when the video game news site Gamatsu published the official numbers a few weeks later, and they were basically the same, Kern took a well-deserved victory lap. Bam! That was 100% dead accurate. My sources said 3.2 million and growing, and Ghost of Yotei's official numbers are 3.3 million. Exactly. Gamatsu reports that the first 32 days of Ghost of Yotei sold a respectable 3.3 million units. However, according to Sony, Ghost of Tsushima had sales of 3.8 in its first month. Funny, Sony, at least at time of recording, has yet to post Yotei's first month. Interesting. But yes, it was a massive hit for Sony and the PlayStation 4, and for the developer Sucker Punch Productions. Yes, the 3.8 for Tsushima. The announcement of Yotei on September 24th, 2024. Well, no. Oh, no, right, yeah, my mistake. I was thinking about something else. Was met with strong enthusiasm since its release. The game has scored a generally favorable 86 on Metacritic. Yeah. Like I said, I'm not going to try to paint this as like an Assassin's Creed Shadow situations where there's a few dissenting voices. Other than that, it's just been a catastrophic failure. People who played it like the gameplay. Not exactly hot on the story, but overall it seems to be a fun game to play with a lot of stuff in it that people like. It's not this barn-burning success a bunch of shills want you to believe. While Yotei is doing very well, a 16% drop shows that it's failed to build on any of the momentum from the first game. Seemingly comes as no surprise to Kern, who posted Yotei as underselling 16% so far. My sources have been proven completely right. For Kern's sources to be accurate within 100,000 units, yes, is an official tally is remarkable. So why the dip? Here's the cope, guys, okay? Ghost of Yotei released on the PS5, the smaller install base than the PS4 had. The pandemic lockdown. That's why everybody bought a game when they were uncertain whether or not they'd be able to go back to work in order to pay for the game that they were going to buy. No, that's exactly what it is. But then you take a look at how well the PS5 is selling, and it's like, I don't really buy that anymore. It's almost like people just didn't want to fucking play your game, okay? Maybe they just looked at it, and because of pattern recognition, they're like, oh, Christ almighty, a fucking woman comes in and usurps usurps a man's spot. This is coming from a guy who, when we first seen the first look at this game, I was willing to give it the benefit of the doubt. It's like, okay, cool, they got a different story that they want to tell. It's completely divorced from the first game in so much as it takes place 300 years after the events of Jin Kasai. Different story you want to tell, you want to have a different protagonist. If that's the direction you guys want to go, Sucker Punch has the pedigree, and they definitely have the benefit of the doubt when it comes to telling a story that they want to tell. So yeah, go for it, go ham. But then as things started to go on, and then more information about the voice actress or the lead actress, whatever we're doing with stupid games nowadays. Okay, Erika Ishii started to come to light. Well, she didn't say anything detrimental about the game. Some of her extracurricular activity could have put people off. I don't know if that really played into it all that much. It's just kind of actors being actors type shit. She's cringe and gay, get over it. But then, in the wake of the Charlie Kirk stuff, that's when sentiment really started to turn, because you had Drew Harrison, Drew Hernandez is far too based for this, but Drew Harrison, yes, a developer on the project, coming out and celebrating the death of Charlie Kirk. That put a lot of people off the product. And so with the PS5, yes, outpacing every Xbox console ever made, and the latest earnings, the last earnings call, rather, on September 30th. I'm sorry, it was a couple weeks ago. These are just numbers accurate up to September 30th. 84.2 million units worldwide. Is that really that much different than the PS4? Is it that substantive of a difference? So yes, they can cope, they can seethe by saying whatever they want, but at the end of the day, if you like the game and it didn't sell all that well, kind of like Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, and because the PC port came out in January, it's my pick for Game of the Year for 2025, at least of what I've played so far. Like I said, that could obviously change when I play Expedition 33. But it doesn't matter, man. Like, if your game's good and you like your game, that's fine, and it didn't sell all that well, or it's selling under what its predecessor did, it's like, okay, whatever, man. But to see them try to throw it back in the faces of people upset about the decision-making, some of the people working on it, only for it to, a little while later, a la Predator Badlands, have to eat a little crow, is a beautiful thing to see. And that's why tethering your personality to something that has absolutely nothing to do with you, and by contrast, you gain absolutely no benefit in shilling. Yeah, it's just another warning that if you don't want to be made to look a fool, try developing a personality. So with all that said, thank you all very much for the gift of your time. I've been Don Consuelo. I want you to follow your gut and get after it. Take care, everyone.